All right. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call our July 9th board meeting to order. Thank you all for being here. I'd like to entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All right, so moved by trustee Murphy, seconded by trustee Buddha, that we would approve the agenda as printed. Any comments or corrections? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. I do not see any members of the public present in the room, so we will move past public comment, and that will bring us to minutes. So we, I think, have received copies of the June 2026 meetings previously distributed by email. I'd entertain a motion for approval of the June 2026 minutes.
So moved.
Okay, it's the move in the second. All right, so moved by trustee Snodgrass, seconded by trustee Murphy, that would approve the minutes from the 2026 meeting. Yes, trustee Brown.
Okay, under approval of minutes, my name is not Kathy, it's Katha.
Okay,
Another change, under presentation, McCarthy and Smith, change that from McCarthy and Sons.
Where do you see that?
In the blue.
Oh, in the blue
portion.
area, gotcha. Oh, these supposed to be McCarthy and Sons.
No, it's McCarthy and Smith.
Oh, mine says Smith. Oh, I see.
so
it
it's
here.
got
The
both
volume.
of those are there.
It gets confused.
It does.
I see.
There's that other company.
Yes.
All right, any other corrections?
I'm not sure, so this was unknown because I emailed Ernie and then Ernie and I both ended up not being here. So it was unknown to you guys, but we did have correspondence that should have been reported this meeting. It was regarding the. So I don't care if it goes these minutes or if I report it tonight in correspondence. Okay.
Crystal.
Yeah, I don't think it came up in the meeting last week.
Mine already.
Or today. Okay. Yeah.
I think you can really work it tonight.
Okay.
Well, actually, getting back to the next part, where my name was misspelled. I think it just should be Brown, because everybody else has a last.
0 out of 2.
Yeah, okay.
Any other corrections?
I use the
All
pencil,
right.
I have to.
With stated corrections, all those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
But I am abstaining.
And you are abstaining. I am abstaining as well. All right, that will bring us to the treasurer's report. Kathy, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, I didn't think that I was gonna have this information because of the holidays, and that's what's planned for me. But they were able to provide it, so I move the board approve the June 2026 operating bills totaling $634,379.93.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded that we will approve the operating bills. Any discussion?
That's significantly higher than normal. Is it because of the NCD effects?
Is Michigan municipal league of the property for 77,000, and that's the insurance. And also.
And
the
NCD.
Can we say that again, Kathy? That's the insurance for.
No stocks.
The property for all of our property. Yeah. Michigan Municipal League. Thank you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then the $78, 78,000 for NCD.
All right. We call out, so we had,
Was there also an extra payroll in there?
It's significantly higher.
It is.
$200,000.
Yeah.
It's an extra pay in May and in December, I think, because
Yeah.
the way the dates fall. But there's 2 a year.
any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, let me know by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
I'm sorry, who seconded that? I did, okay. Oh,
I move to receive and file the June 2026 financial reports. Second.
Moved by trustee Brown, seconded by trustee Murphy, that we would receive the financial reports. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Okay, as of June 30th, our Michigan class balance was 14,031,579. 569 dollars. Our June earned interest was $44,845.45. And our year-to-date interest was $269,935.47. On June 1st, our daily interest rate was 3.7343%, and on June 30th, it was 3.76. On 6/26, Plant Moran asked me to transfer all the money from the LCSA sub-account into the Comerica checking as the balance was getting low. I transferred $684,490 and left $6.31 in the sub-account. And then our longtime Plant Moran senior account consultant, Kelly Shamalia, has retired, and I have removed her name from our Michigan class in Comerica accounts. And asked Sasha to see if she was on the MetroNet Huntington Bank account, so she could do this. And that's all.
Thank you very much, Kathy. Any questions for Kathy?
Kathy, can I ask what LCSA is?
Oh, I knew you were gonna ask me that, and I didn't write that down.
What is,
But I think
is
it
that
has,
just a different account?
it has to do with, taxes.
I believe that it stands for like local community government savings accounts, maybe.
Something like
And
that.
it's like
Yeah.
a village account, the whole taxable village funds.
Mhm.
So that was getting low and they needed to transfer funds.
No, that was, we got completely off and payment this year. The checking account in Comerica was getting low, so that's why they asked me to transfer money. Could have taken it out of the millage account, but since this is just, it's just about all they needed.
Oh,
Mhm.
All right, thank you very much, Kathy.
Thanks.
Stacy is not with us tonight. She did report that she did not have any updates, but I think many of us did attend the Friends no longer gala, but the Friends recognition event, right?
Yeah.
And had a great time. The entertainment was great. Seeing all of the friends and the community members was great. And so we look forward to that every year. I think it's the 38th annual. So that was a good time. I think Stacy will probably have more of an update as we kind of move into the fundraising season. We have had a meeting with her, finance, going to finance committee meeting, doing a friend board meeting, to kind of talk about the approach. So hopefully maybe by next meeting, we can talk to you guys a little bit about that and how we see the division of responsibility between the Friends, the library staff, and us as the board, right? So we'll look for her next month. Now, on to the director's report. We have Maria George Gallup here for us tonight, and I'll turn it over to you.
So patron comments are included in the board packet. In case you don't know, the Founder's Day Parade is happening next Saturday. The theme this year is past, present, and future. So, Becky, our resident, bike designer, decided we are going to go with construction theme for future. And the bike is gonna look like a, construction, I think the bulldozers that we're going for. So if anybody wants to march, you need to be there at 9 a.m. We meet on Grand River, just past Power Road.
okay.
I don't get a number until later. And we just look for the booklet. That's the best way to find it. So if you do wanna walk, we just ask you to wear your Farmington shirt. We're gonna have little construction helmets and safety vests. For us to,
We don't have a fine FCL shirt.
you should get one from Sarah.
But we'll to say the best.
You don't have to wear it if you don't want to, then.
You just won't be safe.
She wants her FCL to shine.
That's right.
Yeah, talk to Sarah later, if you don't have our shirts. So that is, happening, Food Truck Tuesday is happening on July 21st. The food truck is in Pesto. They were a company that reached out to us, so you know you made it when companies are asking you if you can be part, they can be part of your thing. So that was good. Summer of Stories finale is on Monday, July 27th from 6:30 to 8:30. We are not gonna have animals as a petting barn because they don't have a staff complaint. So if anybody wants to come out and see all those happy faces, you're welcome to come.
Where, what location?
It's here.
Okay.
It's here. And then staffing updates, we have multiple vacancies right now. So we're gonna be hiring for the next few months. Patron services has a couple openings. Technology aid, part-time children's library, and more postings to come. So,
All right. Thank you
if we
very
get other questions, I may or may not be able to answer.
Maria, there's some comment in that paper about phone booths or something like that. Do you know anything about that?
In Jill's update, I think she referenced
Yeah,
the phone booths.
Are they talking about like those little quiet study rooms that look like a phone booth? Is
Oh,
that what you're
maybe.
talking about?
Yeah.
So, okay,
So
so,
we haven't had that meeting yet. So they're like, it's like a little, it's like a phone booth where one person can go in and shut the door.
it was in one of the letters or something that it caught my eye.
But she also mentioned maybe a group, so where you could have two people.
so they come in sizes where they can fit for anywhere from one person to 4 people. So, but
then
the
you
most
also have
common
to
one
find
is
a
2.
spot to
Well,
put
that's
it.
just what I was thinking when I read,
You have to find a spot to put it.
I will tell you,
As well.
in Ford's renovation of Michigan Central, they have used them throughout. So you kind of just have these little pods sitting all along the corridors. And because no one has like assigned offices and things anymore, it is kind of a place where, yeah, if you have a call or you need a private place to talk, you just kind of dash in there, have your 30-minute call and dash out. So yeah, it increases your private space capacity a bit. So I'm interested to see what you guys come up with.
Yeah, Sasha did respond to that email and she said it's a good alternate to study rooms at FA primarily since that part of the renovation is still a couple of years away. They are good for people doing virtual meetings or taking phone calls, or if we get a 2-person booth, they can work on projects, etc. They also have ADA accessible booths that we thought about. So they're looking at both locations, possibly getting it, and see if that would be a good ROI and if it fits. So like you said, you're looking at options still and getting quotes.
And I appreciate, being conscientious about that because we already have demand on room study rooms. And this is a way to kind of have a bit of a mitigation and interim plan to supply some more space as we move through the renovation. And they'll probably come in handy during the renovations because as we're shutting areas off, then we can use these in any space, right? Because they can be moved to still provide private room and meeting space.
I imagine these little mobile white eggs, rolling them
They have
around.
some that look like eggs too, so I think they come in a variety of configurations, so that's awesome. Yeah.
Staffing updates, are those due to creating new positions?
I think some of them, yes.
Okay.
Some of them, not.
The children's one is a new position. The patron service is
Is
not.
not.
And the tech aide is somebody who's transferred from that position to another
A different department.
So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's-
But yes, so both.
All right, I would encourage anyone who is interested to come out to the Founder's Day Parade. I've never walked with the library in the parade, but I think this year I will be.
Lot of
I
fun.
might, yeah, it's fun.
This year I will be walking with the library, so encourage you to join me. And Maria, I remember seeing you out there last year at like 8:30 or 8 o'clock.
Or you was on the bike.
8 o'clock.
So we will see you there and
Yeah.
maybe
I
we'll.
was trying to get a construction class, but it wasn't gonna come.
I love the theme. That makes sense considering what we have on our.
I think I need to still find places to wear that time to wear it.
Right, but I didn't get it, I'm over the year.
Well, for this, yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Maria. That will bring us to our subcommittee report. So, first is personnel. So Dilhara, I'll turn it over to you.
We did not meet this month, so no updates there. Other than to say I continue to meet with Sasha. Now we're doing monthly one-on-ones to just support her and keep things moving. So you'll hear more updates next month.
Excellent, thank you. Really appreciate the work you're doing to help Sasha in the transition period. And also help stabilize staff during the transition period. And staff members have had a chance to meet with Zohara and talk about how things are going. And I think that's a great way for us to get some input too. So thank you for doing that. That will bring us to facilities. So Sharon, I will turn it over to you.
Sure, Sasha, suggested, and, I agreed that we didn't have a meeting in June. We didn't have 100% attendance anyway for that meeting. So, and the most important document wasn't ready for us to look at. So the ideas that we were gonna discuss at the June meeting will easily carry over to July, which will be some of the comments that patrons made about, the phone booths and some other things. They will all carry over to the meeting here in August. And I think this particular document from our contractor will be taken care of by them too, by a special meeting. So I don't have anything dramatic to add this evening, but in August, I'll promise one.
All right, thank you very much, Sharon. I know that, and Kathy may mention this, but we will want to meet with you to liaison a bit with the facilities committee as we try to identify areas within the plan for naming rights and, potential fundraising spurs, if you will.
And we need to, it's not in facilities, but we really need to get a handle on 501c or donations for big donations.
Yeah.
And the kind of receipts that they receive and that now's the time to do it before we're gonna start asking for that.
Yes, absolutely. And so, I will let Kathy give her update and then I'll probably maybe tag on. So thank you very much. Kathy, I'll turn it over to you.
We did not meet, so we have no update, but we will be meeting. Just soon, we can get together. To talk about the things that we just talked about. Get all this together soon, because we want to be able to start getting donations and endowments and.
Yeah, I talked with Sasha about it last Friday. And because she and Sherry are wanting to get aligned with our plans, right? So that we all can be moving in lockstep. And so I'm looking to have a meeting with Sasha and Sherry, maybe if I can do it virtually next week, it might be 2 weeks from now, but within the next 2 weeks, we will be meeting to kind of make sure we have the staff input around how they're seeing the plan. By August meeting, I intend to have in front of you guys a revised giving policy for review and approval, inclusive of naming rights as well. I will also be bringing before you discussion topic around the creation of what we would call a trust or a foundation organization to help us raise money through large gifts. So you'll have those two items, before you in August, one for approval, one for review. So we'll look for you to approve the actual getting policy, but then the establishment of the, trust or the foundation. We'll talk about it, maybe have a visitor to come educate us a little bit more about it, and then we will pick that up in September for review. Okay. All right, so thank you very much, Kathy. I think, are there any questions before we close out committee updates? All right, thank you very much. That will bring us to unfinished business. And so in unfinished business, we have the approval of the package from McCarthy and Smith, which has been recommended for approval. We all have a copy of it here in front of us tonight. So that all members are able to do their due diligence. I think we've relied that we're gonna review this. And with our practice, you know, kind of vote on this or bring this to the table for consideration in the second meeting. There will likely be a special meeting one day next week, right, for review of this item. And that special meeting will be noticed by the secretary in the library, once the date and time has been established.
Ernie,
Yes.
what were the comments from Real Point on this document?
That is what, that will be a part of the input, I think, that we'll be looking to hear from Sasha prior to the special meeting, so that you can really track to the changes that they.
Right, because I feel this alone isn't easy to review without hearing the comments from Real Point and from Sasha.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So
so
we would
those
need
are-
that to be able to vote.
Yes, absolutely. And those are the two contingencies that will kind of, I think, drive our date. Because we want to make sure that we've got Sasha and or Jill back who can speak to the changes. Or the lack of change, if that's the case, right? All right. So with that, it brings us to new business. And board elections are on the table. And so, as I always do, I'm gonna ask the secretary to remind us of how our election process works.
Oh, thanks. Well, so each year, and normally in June, but each year we do elect board officers. We should start with president. In other words, if there are multiple people running for an office, they should know what's available to them. And so we would work through the offices in the order that they're posted on this ballot. But if there's only one nomination for a position, then obviously there doesn't need to be a vote. If there's more than one nomination. I don't have that on. You would vote, and then in this case, like Crystal and Maria would take the ballots and count the votes. Yeah, and I'm sure there's gonna be lots of desire to be sent.
Oh, wow.
It's just like the presidency.
Right.
If anybody has a burning desire or need, and some of the people have gotten that call, you know, the people I thought might have really wanted it, to let them know that it is available. Because the one thing about this board is like we work together, right? So I'd be happy to go back to any of these seats if I can do that. So with that being said,
Reminder that you can nominate yourself, correct?
Correct.
I nominate Ernie.
Well, okay, so again, we take one office at a time. Because if we have multiple candidates and then the candidate who does not get elected to one office might then want to run for another office. So,
all right, so we'll call it each office, the person that you nominate must accept the nomination also.
Right.
And there are no other nominations then move forward, so.
Well, I did you say yes?
What did you nominate me for? Oh, president.
Well, I'm president.
Yes, I accept the nomination. Are there any other nominations? No. Seeing no other nominations, I will accept the nomination and I guess the position by acclamation. Thank you very much. All right, that will bring us to vice president.
I nominate Ohio.
Accept the nomination.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for vice president? Okay, seeing none, Dilhara has achieved the vice presidency again by acclamation. Congratulations. All right, that will bring us to treasurer. Are there any nominations for treasurer?
I nominate Kathy.
Accept.
All right, he's accepted. Any other nominations for treasurer? Okay, seeing none, she is deemed treasurer again by acclamation. Congratulations, Kathy. And then that will bring us to the hotly contested secretary. So I'd like to open the floor for nominations for our secretary.
I nominate Jim.
You know,
Is there any other nominations? Didn't give us an extended opening, and we have a former secretary out
He
here.
hasn't accepted.
I do accept.
You accept, okay, I was gonna say we have a past.
Going on.
secretary.
Yeah.
All right, any other
Good.
nominations for secretary? All right, seeing none, Jim has achieved the role of secretary by acclamation. Congratulations, Jim.
I know you wanted that.
Yes, all right,
So that was easy.
well,
So, can I just, say, just in general terms, there's obviously a couple different philosophies about how to do this. Should the officer positions rotate it out, but like, obviously, there's a value to keeping people in positions who have experience and, for at least three of us, not counting me, but, for at least the three of you, yeah, there's obviously excellent work being done, on that.
Well,
And my only role is, but anyway, you guys, yeah, so there's obvious value to keeping people in those positions as long as they want to serve. But there could be value to at some point rotating and getting people in, so it's just something to think about. And that's, again, I think why long ago this was set up to be an annual chance to elect officers.
yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Jim. Don't minimize your role. You are a trusted advisor. And I lean on you heavily. Even if I don't call, I'm still thinking about the fact that you're out there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
But I do think that, as we move into this new fiscal year, us spending a little bit of time together at a retreat environment to talk about some of these things like succession planning, and none of us plan to be enrolled forever, right? So like, how do we make sure the board is prepared and stabilized and ready for the next transitions that it needs to go through? So appreciate that, your support.
I think it's particularly important since there's been no new trustees, like you get the same group, everybody knows each other a little bit better. Well, not real new, Steve. But I think there's something for this big project to have continuity for a couple of years. So there's what did we do? Oh, we did that last time, something like that.
I appreciate you mentioning that, Sharon, because I will share in full transparency. In my mind, I think back to when I joined the board, and like the net was here and some of the other board members that were here then, I thought they would be here right now, right? If you're entering those building projects. I even said to some of them, like, I thought we were doing this together. But the comment you made, Sharon, about the continuity is so important, right? And we all have to kind of do what we need to do for our personal selves and lives and those that we care for. But I really do appreciate you all being attentive to the library and being interested in maintaining that continuity as we go through some pretty big projects. So it is huge, and it helps the board be able to continue to move forward without doing a lot of recoiling and having to catch everybody up because we're constantly in flux. So no, that's a great observation.
Well, to Jim's point about kind of switching up these positions this may be a good time to also think about our committees and kind of rotate through that as well. I guess I don't know, Jim, exactly what you would propose even for the election, like the elected positions of how, is that a conversation we want to have in the future about
And that we can,
Locations
yeah,
or-
can have that conversation at any time or at no time. I think the only thing that's in the bylaws is that the vice president is the chair of the personnel.
Hmm.
Other than that, I think anything can rotate. And so it's just what we want to do. And obviously there's a value to committees, certainly to people serving on committees, to the various committees to get a sense of what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, it sounds like we at least have a few agenda items for our retreat. So we'll work to get a date on that. Crystal, I will work with you to help us kind of nail that down and get some logistics going, so that we can have a really good retreat. And that is a part of our follow-up from our strategic planning items, right? That's the one item I think of the board we still have outstanding, is to take the time to have a retreat. So we will do that this fiscal year. Okay.
What would your kind of proposed goals be for a retreat, or what have they been in the past?
Well, we haven't had one.
Okay.
No, no, it hasn't been one, and we've spent like most of those times, years, I think, the heads down, doing work, committee work, doing the personnel work, and everybody's like just been busy doing the work. But we haven't actually had the chance to step back and strategize a bit. And so when you think about the projects that we have on our table, right, we know how we're funding the first round of things. But if nothing else, probably a little bit of like how we're going to showcase ourselves, embody some salesmanship into all of us, so that we can be out there to make sure we maintain the community support for all of our plans, but probably be a big part of the agenda. I think in addition to that, some of these organizational things like the succession planning, I mean, Jim and I had a conversation this week about it, just because, again, none of us are going to necessarily be sitting in the seat forever, but we do want to set the library up for success, whether we're here or not, right? So I think those are some valuable conversations to have, just to make sure that we are aligned and able to execute as well as we can, as we go into this next year. For sure. So don't know that we're going to Las Vegas. I'm sure it will be a very moderate retreat. So when we say retreat, you guys know we don't do extravagant around here. But I do think, right, I want us to get off the library campus and do it somewhere where we can have a change of scenery and have something to inspire our minds in a special way.
Pardon me for saying so, but Kathy has a very nice.
Kathy, you would volunteer. It sounds like, Sharon has a very nice house also. Some volunteer for. Bring that up. Nice house. Always houses. Washington choices.
You have to be like the hostess.
That's true too. We don't want to tax any of us, so we'll think about that. All right, Jim has a nice house also. I have been. All right. Thank you all very much. I sincerely appreciate the trust that you guys put in me, and I think that we put in each other to move the library forward. And I have no doubt that this will be another year of growth. Do we have any correspondence?
So again, we had correspondence, and I'll add the person's name, but it was the patron who came in to make public comment back in May. And the night of that May meeting, she actually sent a follow-up saying, once again, please think about LinkedIn learning. And that was the piece of correspondence. So that should have been reported in the June meeting, but that's the one piece of correspondence.
Is Lincoln Learning?
LinkedIn learning.
LinkedIn,
If you remember, she spoke at public comment. She said we have she was commenting on she would rather be able to use LinkedIn learning than Udemy. Is that how you say it?
Mhm.
Which is what the library has now as a possibility for online
All right,
classes.
Brand.
Yeah.
And with that being said, Maria, I think my ask of staff, because it's been on my mind a little bit, is just if we could get a reporting of subscription usage across all of the different subscriptions. Yeah, I think that would be good for us to at least see it next meeting and maybe have a little bit of commentary
Differences between the two.
from you guys about it. And I am interested, I think the patron raised an interesting discussion point. So I'm interested in the staff's view of Udemy versus LinkedIn versus whatever else is out there is probably even better, right? So if you could, get that to us next month, that would be great. All right, I don't see any public comment or any publics, so that'll bring us to trustee comment. Do we have any additional trustee comments?
I do. Oh,
Go ahead.
Okay. Beginning here at this page, Crystal. You can't read what it says, because it cuts everything off. Is that how it is in?
That's what Peter sent me. That's all I have.
Oh, okay.
So
That's what I
That blue is.
Okay.
We didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Here's my question, Crystal. do you-
oh, so Sasha responded and she said it's the same thing from last month. So whatever was presented to you at last month's meeting is the document. That's
What's your
Was
real
not at last
point?
month.
We didn't have this at last month.
We didn't have it, so
Uh,
we had a large spreadsheet.
Oh, I thought we did.
It was like I think it was almost like 11.
Gave you like the condensed version and not.
yeah, they gave you the
Okay,
condensed instead of
great.
all that,
Yes.
but it was the condensed version
Um,
of that.
So what did real point say? Because obviously whatever they said didn't change anything.
Because all we see are numbers, you know. We need to know something about the numbers.
Yeah, so I don't think we can really like litigate it here at the table. I think we have our marching orders to set a meeting date for next week
Absolutely.
to get this wrapped up. I would encourage everybody to take a look through it. I am requesting that we get a digest, and if there were no changes, that's fine. But like, maybe we just confirm that and have everybody review it and be ready to make a decision, next week on it. Okay. Any other trustee comment?
So I had one, because I wasn't at the last meeting and I wanted to know what happened if I was a re-elected secretary. I checked the minutes and then when I did that, I realized that we do something that we probably shouldn't. So in our minutes, or I mean, in our agendas, we always have approval of June or this month's operating bills is under the treasury report, and anyone in the public who sees that agenda can see that that's what we're gonna do. But for like last month, approval of the budget wasn't listed on the agenda, and it came up under the finance subcommittee. And I know that's how we've done things in the past. I realize that now, but I think we shouldn't do that. That we should have actions listed on the agenda under new business. Or if it's gonna be like, I'm not saying we have to move approval of operating bills. That's already announced on the agenda, so I think that's okay to stay there, but it just seems like we should try to be as transparent as possible and list all action that we anticipate wanting to take under business.
Yeah, I'm allowed. with
I
that.
concur too.
Yeah, for clarity, definitely to know.
Thank you.
All right, can you make a note, you got that, Crystal?
I'm talking to Sasha, sorry.
And so budget.
But when I send you the agenda before I send it out like I normally do, please remind me if it's wrong.
Yeah.
Saying like it needs, so anything that needs approval
Yeah, and we've
Should
done
be its
this,
own.
it's not just budget
needs
things.
to be
I-
under new business.
I realize we've done it under facilities or even personnel. I just, yeah, instead of putting actions that don't even show up on the agenda for the public under subcommittees, we should just put that stuff under new business.
Yeah.
So action
Cool.
under new business.
Yeah, because that is clear.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, any additional trustee comment? All right, seeing none, I believe that we can consider ourselves adjourned. Thank you all, have a great night. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, Jim. I think we've done.